Brandon Blackstock, the former husband of pop sensation and talk show host Kelly Clarkson, has passed away at the age of 48 after a prolonged and brave battle with cancer. The somber news, confirmed by his representative on August 7, sent shockwaves through the entertainment world and left fans reeling. According to the statement, Brandon died peacefully, surrounded by his closest family members, a heartbreaking but dignified end to a private struggle that had gone on for over 3 years. As the news spread, it painted a picture not just of a man who had been part of one of music's most high-profile marriages, but of someone who had been quietly enduring immense pain behind the scenes while the world remained largely unaware. The grief is especially profound for Kelly Clarkson, who shares 2 children with Brandon, 11-year-old River Rose and 8-year-old Remington Remis Alexander. Her recent announcement about canceling the remainder of her Las Vegas residency was already causing concern among fans, but in hindsight, it now takes on an even deeper and more personal meaning. While I normally keep my personal life private, Kelly shared on Instagram just a day before the announcement of Brandon's death, "This past year, my children's father has been ill and at this moment, I need to be fully present for them." Her words, simple yet profound, echoed the emotional toll of watching a former partner and co-parent suffer through such a harrowing illness, and the need to now support her young children as they face the unimaginable loss of their father. Brandon was more than just a name in the tabloids or a footnote in Kelly Clarkson's story. He had built a respected career as a talent manager, helping guide the careers of major stars including Shelton. And his involvement in the music industry wasn't coincidental. He came from a well-known family in the business. His father, Brandon Blackstock, had managed big names for decades and was previously married to country music icon Reba McEntire. Brandon himself stepped into the spotlight after marrying Kelly in 2013, and their love story, at least in the beginning, was the kind that seemed straight out of a movie. The couple met back in 2006 during rehearsals for the Academy of Country Music Awards, but it wasn't until years later that they began dating. Kelly once described the moment she first saw him, saying he walked into the room and made everyone laugh, and in that instant, she thought, "I'm going to end up with him. I know it." That kind of instinctive love, the kind that feels immediate and faded, is rare, and it was part of what made their relationship so captivating to fans around the world. The connection they shared was very real, and even though their marriage ultimately ended in divorce, there's no denying the bond they once had. Even after their relationship came to an end, Brandon Blackstock remained a significant part of Kelly Clarkson's world, not just because of their shared history but because of their children, River and Remington. Parenting after divorce is never easy, especially when both individuals have high-profile careers, but Kelly and Brandon managed to navigate those complicated waters for the sake of their kids. Now, with Brandon gone, that dynamic takes on a heavier emotional weight. As Kelly steps into the role of sole parent, her concern and love for her children are more evident than ever. The strength she'll need to muster in this time of grief, for both herself and her children, is immense, and fans are already rallying behind her, offering their support during this deeply personal tragedy. Brandon's passing doesn't just impact Kelly and their children, it also touches his other children from his previous marriage to Melissa Ashworth, Savannah and Seth Blackstock. As a father of 4, Brandon wore many hats: co-parent, mentor, supporter, and guide, and it's clear that he had lasting relationships with all his children. The blended family dynamic, often portrayed in media as complicated or tense, was something that Brandon managed with quiet determination. He wasn't just Kelly Clarkson's husband or Reba McEntire's former stepson-in-law. He was a father and a partner who, even through difficult times, played a foundational role in the lives of those closest to him. What's particularly heartbreaking is how this tragedy unfolds in the public eye, where every detail, every social media post, and every decision becomes a headline. For someone like Kelly, who values privacy when it comes to her personal life, this moment must feel especially overwhelming. She made a deliberate effort to step back from the spotlight when Brandon's health began to decline, choosing to focus entirely on their children during what she knew were his final days. Her decision to cancel her remaining Las Vegas shows wasn't just professional, it was deeply maternal. It was about being there for River and Remy, holding their hands, wiping their tears, and guiding them through the loss of a parent that no child should have to face so young. Brandon's death also brings back memories of what their relationship once symbolized. During their happier years, Kelly poured her emotions into music, writing the heart-wrenching ballad, Piece by Piece, as a tribute to how Brandon had helped her rediscover trust and stability. In the lyrics, she described how he had metaphorically picked up the broken pieces of her heart, mended the gaps, and restored her belief in love and commitment. The sincerity in her voice when she performed that song touched fans across the globe, and now, that same song feels like a bittersweet reminder of a love that was real, even if it couldn't last forever. As the public tries to make sense of Brandon Blackstock's passing, many are also revisiting the tumultuous journey that marked his relationship with Kelly Clarkson, particularly during and after their divorce. What began as a storybook romance turned into a high-profile breakup that played out under intense media scrutiny. Their separation was anything but simple, involving custody battles, property disputes, and difficult negotiations over finances. But even amid all the headlines, it's clear now that their connection ran deep, and that Brandon's influence in Kelly's life was significant, for better or worse. What many forget is how intertwined their professional lives were. Brandon wasn't just her husband, he was also her manager for a time, stepping into a pivotal role in her music career after her 2013 marriage. He helped guide key decisions, supported her during tours, and was even seen on red carpets as part of her team. Their partnership was multifaceted, built not just on love but on shared ambition and mutual respect for each other's talents. While the eventual collapse of their marriage was undoubtedly painful, it doesn't erase the years they spent building something together, both as parents and as collaborators. Brandon's death also draws renewed attention to the importance of health awareness, particularly in men over 40. His cancer battle, which he kept private for over 3 years, shocked many who weren't aware he had been ill. The silence surrounding his condition until the very end speaks volumes about his desire to protect his family, especially his children, from unnecessary worry. In a world that increasingly shares every moment online, Brandon chose to keep his suffering behind closed doors. It was a decision rooted in dignity and perhaps a reflection of the way he lived his life, quiet, measured, and focused on what truly mattered. For Kelly, this chapter may stir up a complex web of emotions. She's never shied away from being vulnerable in her music, and fans are already speculating whether Brandon's death will inspire new creative work from her. But beyond the music, this moment is a deeply human one. It's about loss, co-parenting through grief, and coming to terms with the death of someone who once played a central role in her world. The raw truth of losing a former partner, the father of your children, the man you once called your soulmate, is something no amount of fame can shield you from. And now, with Brandon gone, Kelly is not just mourning for herself, she's also stepping up to help her kids grieve in a healthy, safe, and loving environment. Friends and family close to the couple have come forward, sharing messages of love and support, with many echoing the same sentiment, that Brandon was a good man who did the best he could for his family. His legacy will undoubtedly live on in his children, each of whom carries a piece of him forward. Whether through Savannah's strength, Seth's quiet determination, River's spark, or Remy's light-hearted charm, Brandon Blackstock's presence will never truly be gone. It lingers in the lives he helped shape, the memories he leaves behind, and the love he gave. In the quiet aftermath of Brandon Blackstock's death, the world watches as those closest to him begin to pick up the pieces. While the headlines fade and the social media tributes quiet down, the real journey of grief has only just begun for his children and those who loved him. For Kelly Clarkson, this loss is especially layered. The end of their marriage never meant the end of their shared responsibilities, their memories, or the invisible threads that connect two people who once believed they'd spend a lifetime together. Now, with Brandon gone, Kelly faces the daunting task of helping their children navigate grief at such a young and fragile age, an experience no parent is ever truly prepared for. River, Rose, and Remington may be too young to fully grasp the weight of what's happened, but the absence of their father will be felt in ways large and small, from missed birthdays to the silent seat at school events. And yet, knowing Kelly, she'll likely pour every ounce of her strength into making sure their father is remembered not just for how things ended, but for the love and care he gave when he was still here. What's especially poignant about Brandon's story is how his life, though often overshadowed by the fame of those around him, quietly touched so many. Behind the scenes, he was the guy making things happen, the man supporting careers, raising kids, and dealing with life's pressures with a resolve that never sought the spotlight. He was a father, a friend, a son, a partner, and at one point, the emotional anchor in Kelly Clarkson's world. He was human, flawed, complicated, and yet deeply loved. And now, as those who knew him reflect on his life, they're left with moments, memories, and music to hold on to. Kelly's decision to cancel her Vegas shows wasn't just a career pause, it was a powerful act of devotion. She chose to be fully present for her children in their time of need. That decision reminds us that behind the glitter of entertainment, real life still unfolds. Pain still strikes. And healing still takes time. As fans, we often idolize celebrities, forgetting that they bleed like the rest of us. Kelly is showing the world what resilience looks like, not just on stage, but in the sacred, often unseen space of motherhood and mourning. The story of Brandon Blackstock may have ended too soon, but his legacy will continue in the lives he helped shape and in the music he helped inspire. And perhaps, one day, when River and Remy look back on all the love, heartbreak, and growth that surrounded their family, they'll understand the depth of their father's journey. They'll see him not just as the man who once stood beside their famous mother, but as someone who lived, who loved, and who mattered. As the world says goodbye to Brandon, we're reminded that every life leaves a mark, sometimes in the loudest stadiums, sometimes in the quietest corners of home. And in those quiet corners, surrounded by photos, songs, and stories, Brandon Blackstock's memory will live on.